So a partial review, what even is that? Well, it has something to do with the review. It's really because I don't feel I've run the course long enough, the program long enough to really know what it can do. I've been training for a while now, about 12 years, so I have the patience to let a program do its thing. 5 months seems a little bit early for a full review. However, enough has happened that I at least want to let you know my thoughts so far. So I will begin by saying that I'm having to take the approach of this as a student instead of the master, because I've been training for a while. It's easy to say I want to do things my way, but you can't get very far if you're not willing to learn. So that's the mindset I had to take in order to begin this program. One of the reasons that I really wanted to use this program is it hit at the right time. That was really important to me. I was training for another competition, so I couldn't jump on it immediately, even though I wanted to. But I'm a truck driver. Fortunately, I'm blessed with a job and like set routes every week. So I've, within a fairly tight time frame, know when I'm going to be home, but still working nights, still working a lot of hours. So being able to only get into the gym twice a week is great. Makes scheduling for me so much more simple. Plus, I also started to realize that, you know what, I don't care about trying to get as lean as I can, because earlier this year, we're in October now, earlier this year I had done another big cut where I got even leaner than now, probably like 12%, 11% maybe. And it was good to experience that I can do that, to have more faith in my ability to have more control over my weight in both directions, because I've also lost control and went up in the other direction quite a lot. And I was worried about that, didn't want to go there again. So after learning I can go down really lean, I was able to pull back and recognize, okay, now I want to actually get big and muscular. And his program is built around that, around only going in twice a week, so easy scheduling, and very specifically going after the goals I realized I wanted. That's when I was like, okay, this is the time. So I started the program, and that's, of course, when it began learning all the lessons. So my actual opinion so far of AlphaDestiny's, Alex's naturally enhanced program. To me, so far, it's fun being an intermediate lifter, being able to lift heavy every single week and go through a much larger variety of exercises, including some I've never done. I'm really enjoying that. But also, it's led to a few surprises for me as well. One of the first surprises I had is I discovered a weakness in some of my lifts. I had been wanting to raise my conventional deadlift for years, and it never seemed to budge. Whether we're talking about off blocks, from the floor, from a deficit, it always went very slowly. Got my max up to 435 now. And off 9-inch blocks, I was able to do 450, but that wouldn't even move consistently until I tried some other variations, such as a behind the back deadlift and a Jefferson deadlift, both off the same 9-inch blocks. Discovered that even though I can't start 450 conventional consistently, I can, with no warm-up basically, rep 450 easily behind the back deadlift, and I've hit a full 6 plates doing the Jefferson style, and I've never even above the knee pulled 6 plates on anything before, let alone a below the knee variant. So it allowed me to discover that I had some weaknesses. After having someone else look at how I was actually doing my stance, it came out that my hips were too high. I wasn't having enough hip involvement. So when I did a variation that required me to use more hips, like a behind the back or a Jefferson, suddenly I could lift a lot more. That never would have come up if I hadn't tried different lifts thanks to this program. Another big lesson for me, which I also had to get over, was only training twice a week. Normally, I thought you have to train a minimum of 3 days a week. The full body part I was all game for. I love full body. I've almost always come back to that. But twice a week did not seem like enough. So Alex has an intensity day and a volume day. And to try to keep reasonable time frames on my workout, I try to limit my intensity day to 1.5 hours and volume to 2 hours, which means that comes out to 3.5 hours for all of my work for the week, excluding at-home neck work. So I've been learning over the past 5 months a lot about how to fit more in both to less time and into fewer sets, because you can only rest so long, you can only do so many working sets. So driving up intensity, trying different rep ranges, in some cases doing fewer sets than I used to. A lot of my workouts, it's only 3 or 4, occasionally even 2 working sets of an exercise, which for efficiency's sake, supersetting with other stuff as well, and taking a lot less time on warm-ups, because I have a time crunch that I got to get through. And I have discovered I can put a lot more work into a lot less time and a lot fewer sets than I used to before. I was the type to not get sore or feel disruption from training very easily. Like right now, I'm feeling still some in my traps, but now I'm technically in the gym less than before, but I'm actually consistently feeling it even though I have more recovery time. So that, it's been opening up my eyes to what happens when you seriously train hard and get serious about programming. And that especially applies to back training. I was concerned that I wasn't having enough back volume to make up for all the pressing and other work I had been doing. However, learning to drive more intensity into fewer sets and fewer exercises, it's my back that is typically what needs the most recovering between sessions. So once again, eyes are being opened to, well, just from being a student again. Really good experience. The final thing that made me decide to do the review or mini review now instead of later after, let's say, another 5 months was that I just got off a 10-week cut. Making it a cut as the catalyst to me making the review is kind of odd because his program is about encouraging guys to hold a slightly higher body fat percentage between 15 and 20% to look bigger, along with training more specific muscles to look bigger in clothes. So how would, after losing fat and therefore looking smaller, would I then now decide this is the moment to make a review? It has to do with how much strength I was able to keep after said cut. So in a 1,000-calorie deficit, at 9 out of 10 weeks through the cut, I was maxing out, because here on the intensity day every week he wants you to lift heavy, including potentially maxing out on a variation of a lift every single week. So you're used to straining, accustomed to straining, and accustomed to high percentages of various lifts all the time. So I was lifting heavier than I normally would in a calorie deficit. And before going into the cut, I had set a currently all-time lifetime PR of 300 pounds on the bench press. 9 weeks into cutting, I maxed out again on conventional stance, like competition style bench, and was still able to hit 290. Losing only 10 pounds off my all-time bench PR that far into a cut, I realized that there's definitely at least something to his way of programming and his methods, because I would not have expected to maintain that much strength that far, which means getting back at maintenance, I don't have to work back as much and continue making progress. So that's something I'm looking forward to. So just for quick and dirty, that was enough you could call a review, but I have some additional thoughts and notables I want to throw out as well. The first is that he advertises this program as an intermediate program, which is definitely appropriate because this would not be suitable for a novice. Not only is, if you are not accustomed to training regularly and you have more potential for growth and progress, and therefore only 2 touches a week would really be selling yourself short of what you could do as a novice. It also, the workouts are probably way too crazy, way much more than you would want to throw at someone new. And the amount of customizability of the program, which to me is a great benefit, could be overwhelming to someone new or the wrong personality type, considering that he doesn't just say you do this week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and just he gives you some samples that you can follow, but he encourages you to design it how you need based on the templates and parameters he gives you. His PDF is full of educational content for how to use his parameters to go after your goals, but it is a lot to go through. Even he has over 300 exercises in the book for you to choose from for the whole body to use in the program, but you have to be heavily involved in the decision process for how you're going to run it. I love that. Lots of variety and fun for me to do, but definitely not suitable for the wrong type of person. Another highly important note is I consider viewing Alex's channel, AlphaDestiny, pretty much essential to get the most out of this program. He answers Q&As. He has years of content, including lots of Q&As where people are asking questions about both his paid intermediate program, Naturally Enhanced, along with his completely free novice program. It's in plain text on his website, so no need to sign up, no need to give any information. You can go to his website, plain text, free novice program. Answers questions about those. You get lots of nuance and lots of other information that he hasn't necessarily updated with the PDF or wouldn't necessarily fit, but still has lots of great information. One of which I used during said cut, which it was regarding the question of how do you modify your training while cutting. And his thoughts are, in my words, make as few compromises as possible. Maintain as high a percentage as you can that you feel comfortable with. Maybe you don't need to max out, but still lift heavy every week. Maintain as much volume as you can manage. Basically, don't sell yourself short and only compromise when necessary. Following that enabled me to maintain a surprising amount of strength, even though workouts were a little bit hard, considering I was trimming back as little as possible. But that worked out great. That specific question was never addressed in the book, but I got that from watching his channel, and it made a huge difference. So viewing his channel is mandatory, I believe. And finally, in the program, he does give you, as I said, it's customizable. He gives you lots of ways to modify the program. The original version, where he just has like your first main lifts and then some leg work and then back work, and the specific way he lays it out, it didn't work very well energy-wise for me. Some parts of me would be too tired and not able to train optimally while others are waiting to go. So he gives alternate ways that you can arrange it. He gives some 3 or 4 day arrangements. I'm still following a 2-day, but where you can alternate, how you would do like a more push-pull arrangement. So push exercise and then some more form of pull exercise. He also says supersets are completely fine to do and potentially even recommended. So that's what I'm having to do to maximize my time in the gym, is I'll combine like for instance, a main press with either a core variation or like throwing something like calves, which if I'm doing an incline press, your calves shouldn't interfere with recovery between, so you could take less time recovering, or even alternating a push and a pull. Basically, time that I would spend resting from an exercise I'm spending doing another allows me to fit into my time frames. So that's how I've modified it. I'm using his push-pull modification along with supersets, but I am still ultimately following like the philosophy of this program. So customizable. A few final smaller things. This is not as much about the program as it was additional lessons for me. One of the final things I learned both from following the program along with viewing Alex's content is learning to truly be honest with the goals that I want. I discovered that I don't really care to compete, whether we're talking about a strength sport such as strongman, which I have done some before, or even bodybuilding. I knew I never wanted to compete in bodybuilding. I just want to train for me. I also am not crazy concerned about getting as strong as possible, but I want to look bigger and feel bigger. So learning to be honest about what I really want gives me better clarity for how I want to pursue training. And also having good clarity of what I want better enables me to more efficiently pursue those goals. The entire basis for Naturally Enhanced is focusing on specific muscles and maintaining a slightly higher body fat percentage than you would normally hear of in the fitness industry. Fitness industry, you hear about like 10%, 12%, sub 10% body fats. He encourages 15 to 20%. Not fat, but more than most would talk about when it comes to lifting. So between that and focusing on the right muscles such as neck, traps, shoulders and such, focus on those to get that look when you're wearing a shirt, wearing clothes. Since most people see you in clothes, if you want to look big, if you want to look good, target the time most people are going to see you. Not when you're on a beach shirtless or something, unless you're doing that a lot and you care to prioritize that, most people aren't going to see you that way, which they don't mean. So it got that through my head for how to actually go after what I want. First, recognize what I actually want, and then how to pursue that more efficiently, already making a difference, a very rapid difference. And as I had touched on about how he emphasizes different body fat percentages than you would normally hear of in fitness, that also helped me realize that a lot of our perceptions are skewed. Like Hollywood actors and stuff saying that they got to like the 5% or 8% when they were, if you're being generous, maybe got to 12. we have lots of opinions of how lean we have to get to look good, when in reality, a lot of like body fat percentage someone might think is 12 might be 15% or more. Combined with how important muscle is to looking leaner, you can be like, I'm at 15% now. I could claim 12% to people and they would probably believe it because we just don't know. So you don't have, even if you don't care about going after the look specific, that is specifically targeted by Naturally Enhanced, I also realize you don't have to get as lean as you probably think, especially if you want to maintain performance. I think that covers it. You want to help me say goodbye?
I thought you were going to pack off.
I am. Come over here. Gotta wave. You want to see what it looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go see what it looks like. Come on.